Your defiance ends now.
I will not yield.
Then you will fall.
We shall see.
The prison ship moved through deep space like a dead thing, silent, cold, and heavy with fear. Inside its metal halls, alien guards dragged a human across the floor, his body weak, his armor broken, his face covered in dry blood. He was chained at the hands and neck, forced to walk even when his legs no longer obeyed him. The aliens laughed as they pulled him forward, their voices sharp and cruel. They spoke in a harsh language, but the human understood enough. They called him a ghost, a mistake, a thing that should not exist. Humans were gone. That was what the galaxy believed. Earth was silent, human fleets were dust, and human names were spoken only in old war records. Yet here he was, breathing, bleeding, and alive. The guards pushed him into a holding chamber and threw him to the floor. Cold light washed over his broken armor. A symbol was burned into his chest plate, Subject 0. The human tried to lift his head, but pain crushed him back down. His mind was full of holes, memories torn apart by years of torture and experiments. He remembered fire, screaming, and stars turning red with battle. He remembered holding someone small and fragile in his arms, someone not human. Then the memory vanished again. One of the guards leaned down and grabbed his hair, forcing his face up. "You are nothing," the alien hissed. "Your species lost, your world burned, and your kind forgotten." The human said nothing. He had learned that silence was safer. Suddenly, the ship shook. Red lights flashed across the chamber. A sharp alarm echoed through the metal walls. The guards froze. Their confidence vanished in an instant. A royal signal had entered the ship. Not a military order, not a command from an admiral. This signal came from the highest authority in the Empire, the alien queen. Every guard dropped to one knee, their heads lowered in fear and respect. A cold voice filled the chamber through hidden speakers, calm and powerful. "Bring me the human prisoner." The guards looked at each other in shock. No one had expected this. The queen did not involve herself with prisoners. She did not care about humans, or so the galaxy believed. The chains around the human were unlocked, not in kindness, but in panic. They lifted him carefully now, afraid to anger their ruler. He was dragged through long halls filled with glowing symbols and silent machines. As they walked, the human felt something strange, a pressure in his chest, a pull he could not explain. His heart beat faster as if it recognized this path. They stopped before a massive door made of dark crystal. It opened slowly, revealing a wide throne chamber. Soft blue light filled the space, reflecting off tall pillars and flowing banners. At the far end sat the alien queen. She was taller than most of her kind, her form elegant and sharp. Her eyes glowed with ancient power and hidden pain. The guards forced the human to his knees. He struggled to stay upright, his vision blurred. Blood dripped from his hands onto the floor. The queen stood. Every movement she made silenced the room. She walked toward him slowly, her gaze never leaving his face. The closer she came, the stronger the pressure in his chest grew. Images flashed through his mind. Fire, smoke, a battlefield, and a scream that still echoed in his dreams. She stopped in front of him. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she raised a hand, and every guard stepped back. Her voice was softer now, almost careful. "You are real," she said. "After all this time, you are real." The human lifted his eyes and looked at her. Something deep inside him broke. He did not know her name, her world, or her crown, but his heart knew her. Tears formed in the queen's eyes, something no one in the Empire had ever seen. She lowered herself to his level and spoke words that would shake the galaxy. "Do you remember me, soldier?" The human opened his mouth, but no answer came. His memories were still locked away, buried under pain and loss. All he could feel was that this moment mattered more than his life. As the guards watched in silence, unaware that history was changing, the fate of humanity rested on a single forgotten man. And before the story continues, if you enjoy powerful human stories like this, gently consider subscribing to this channel. Your support helps more stories reach the stars. The queen waited. The galaxy held its breath. And the prisoner who should not exist knelt before a ruler who owed him everything. The throne chamber stayed silent after the queen spoke. Her words hung in the air like a wound that refused to close. The human knelt in chains, breathing slow, fighting the storm inside his head. He did not answer her, not because he did not want to, but because his mind was breaking apart. Her voice had touched something buried deep inside him. A locked door inside his memory began to crack. Pain rushed in first, sharp and cruel. He pressed his eyes shut. The floor beneath him faded away. Darkness swallowed the chamber, then fire replaced it. He stood on a battlefield under a burning sky. Explosions tore the ground apart. Alien ships screamed overhead, tearing through human lines. Young, strong, and unbroken, he wore full combat armor. Human symbols still clear on his chest. His weapon shook in his hands as his squad fell one by one. He remembered shouting orders. He remembered screaming names that never answered back. The war was already lost that day. Smoke filled the air. Through the chaos, he saw her. She was not a queen then. She was younger, wounded, and alone. An alien princess bleeding out on broken stone. Her guards were dead. Her royal armor shattered. Enemy soldiers closed in from every side. The human had a choice: escape and live, or stay and die for someone who was not his own. He remembered his heart beating hard, not with fear, but with anger. This war had taken everything from him: friends, home, hope. He refused to let it take his humanity too. He ran toward her. Bullets and energy blasts tore past him. Pain burned through his side, but he did not stop. He reached her and lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected. Her blood soaked into his armor, hot and real. She looked at him with wide eyes filled with fear and confusion. "Why help me?" she whispered. He remembered his answer clearly. "Because someone has to." The memory twisted. Pain surged again. The battlefield shattered like glass. The human gasped and opened his eyes. He was back in the throne chamber, his body shaking, sweat and blood mixing on his skin. The queen stood frozen before him. Her hands trembled at her sides. She had seen it too. Tears rolled down her face now, free and unstoppable. She had waited years for this moment, years wondering if the human who saved her had truly existed. "You carried me," she said softly. "You walked through death for me." The human swallowed hard. His throat burned as if he had been screaming for years. "I remember blood," he said slowly. "I remember fire. I remember not leaving you behind." The queen fell to her knees before him, a sight that would have shattered the empire if anyone else had seen it. "You saved my life," she said, "and with it you saved my future." The guards watched in silent fear. They did not understand what they were seeing. A ruler of stars kneeling before a broken human. The human's head dropped forward. More memories tried to rise. Dark rooms, sharp tools, voices laughing as they erased pieces of him. "They took my name," he whispered. "They took my memories." The queen's eyes burned with quiet fury. "They tried to erase you because they feared you. They feared what humans were, even when broken." She stood and raised her hand. The chains around the human snapped open and fell to the floor. No one dared question her command. "You are not a prisoner here," she said. "Not anymore." The human struggled to stand. His legs weak, his body damaged. Yet something inside him felt stronger than it had in years. The queen stepped closer, her voice low. "They buried this memory in blood, so you would never remember who you are. But blood remembers, soldier. Pain remembers." The human looked at his hands. Hands that had carried a dying princess. Hands that had killed and protected. "I do not remember my name," he said, "but I remember my choice." The queen nodded slowly. That choice changed the fate of the galaxy. And it is not finished yet. Beyond the throne chamber, forces were already moving. Old enemies were watching. And the truth about humanity was beginning to surface. as the human took his first free breath in years. The memory buried in blood had awakened, and with it, the fear of those who once believed humans were gone forever. The queen did not speak for a long moment. She turned away from the kneeling human and looked toward the tall windows of the throne chamber. Beyond the glass, stars drifted slowly, calm and distant, hiding the truth of what they had seen. "This is where your story breaks," she said quietly. "This is where humanity fell." The human listened, his body weak but his mind burning. Something inside him knew this pain already. It was not new, only forgotten. The queen raised her hand. The air shimmered. A holographic field formed before them. Images appeared. Earth, green and blue, alive. Human cities shining with light. Ships moving between planets. Once humanity reached for the stars, the queen said, not as conquerors, but as survivors. The image changed. Alien councils, cold faces, long shadows. Human leaders standing alone, surrounded. They feared you, she continued. Your strength, your numbers, your refusal to surrender. Humans adapted too fast, fought too hard, and asked for too little. The human clenched his hands. Fragments of memory stabbed through him. Crowded bunkers, alarms screaming, children crying. The council called humanity unstable. The queen said, too emotional, too violent, too dangerous. They voted to erase you. The image shifted again. War exploded across the stars. Human ships burning, planets falling. Earth did not fall first. Earth watched others fall. Human colonies went silent one by one. The human's breathing grew heavier. He remembered commanding a ship. He remembered sending people away while staying behind. You fought anyway, the queen said. Outnumbered. Betrayed. Surrounded. Humans fought like extinction was just another enemy. The battlefield hologram zoomed in. A final stand. Human soldiers forming a line against impossible odds. This was where they took you, the queen said. Not as a prisoner of war, but as a symbol. The humans saw it now. He was captured alive, dragged from the wreckage, beaten, restrained. They called you Subject Zero, the queen said. The proof that humans could be broken. The images darkened. Cold rooms, metal tables, harsh white light. Alien scientists surrounding him. They did not want information. They wanted obedience. They wanted to remove the part of you that made humans human. The human gritted his teeth. He felt it again. Sharp pain behind his eyes. Voices speaking calmly while tearing his mind apart. They erased your memories in layers, the queen said. Your name, your past, your choices. But something resisted. The hologram flickered. A red warning symbol appeared. They failed, she said, because humans do not break the way other species do. The human looked up at her, eyes burning. If they failed, why am I like this? He asked. Because they panicked, the queen replied. They damaged what they could not control. Then they hid you. The image showed the prison ship. His prison, drifting through space for years. The galaxy was told humanity was extinct. The queen said, your fall became a lesson. Obey or disappear. Silence filled the chamber. The human felt anger rising, slow and deep. Are there others? He asked.
Humans.
The queen hesitated. Just for a moment. Yes, she said. Hidden, scattered, hunted, alive. The word struck him harder than any weapon. Alive. Before he could speak, alarms echoed through the ship. This time louder, sharper, urgent. A guard rushed into the chamber and fell to one knee. Enemy fleets detected, he said. They know about the human. The queen's expression hardened. So it begins, she said. The human pushed himself to his feet, pain screaming through his body. They tried to erase us, he said. They failed. Beyond the ship, shadows moved among the stars. Those who destroyed humanity were coming back to finish their work. And for the first time since humanity fell, the galaxy was about to remember why humans were feared. The alarms continued to echo through the ship, deep and heavy, like a warning meant for the entire galaxy. Red light washed over the throne chamber, turning shadows long and sharp. The queen raised her hand. Silence followed instantly. Even the alarms obeyed her will. You should hate me, she said slowly, her voice calm, but filled with weight. The human stood unsteady before her. Hate is easy, he replied. Truth is harder. The queen looked at him then, truly looked at him, not as a ruler, not as a symbol, but as the soldier who once carried her through fire. I owe you more than my life, she said. I owe you my crown. She turned and walked toward the center of the chamber. A circular platform rose from the floor, glowing softly. Holograms formed again, but these were different. Hidden worlds appeared. Small stations buried in asteroid fields. Dark planets with no official records. When I became queen, she began. The council expected me to finish what they started. To erase the last traces of humanity. Her hands clenched slowly. But I remembered your choice. You saved me when your species was already losing. You showed mercy when none was required. The human felt a tightness in his chest. He remembered the fear in her eyes, the trust she placed in a stranger. So I lied to the galaxy, the queen said. I signed false reports, destroyed records, redirected fleets. I turned execution orders into relocation missions. The holograms zoomed in. Humans being moved in secret. Ships traveling without flags, without names. I could not save all of you, she said softly, and that failure will follow me forever. The human lowered his head. You saved enough, he said. A sharp sound echoed through the chamber. A warning signal, closer now, more urgent. Enemy forces have entered the system. A voice announced. They demand the surrender of the human. The queen's eyes turned cold. They fear you even now, she said. Broken, unarmed, and alone. She stepped closer to him, lowering her voice. They fear what you represent. Proof that humanity still breathes. The human straightened, pain screaming through every nerve. Let them come, he said. They already took everything else. The queen studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled, not with kindness, but with resolve. You remind me why they lost, she said. She turned to the guards. Prepare the shield network. Awaken the hidden fleets. Send the signal. The guards hesitated, fear flickering across their faces. That order would start a war no one believed possible. I will not hide anymore, the queen said. I will not owe my throne to silence. The human felt the ship move beneath his feet. Power surged through its systems. Something ancient and dangerous was waking up. She looked back at him, her voice quieter now. I searched for you for years. Not to use you, but to apologize. The human met her gaze. You kept your promise, he said. You remembered us. A final alarm sounded, deeper than all the others. Enemy weapons locking onto the ship. The queen stepped onto the raised platform, her presence filling the chamber. Let the galaxy watch, she said. Let them see what happens when a debt is repaid. Outside, stars shifted as fleets emerged from hiding. Human-built ships, old but alive, all answering a signal long thought impossible. The queen who owed a life stood ready to repay it with war. And somewhere deep inside the human soldier, something long buried began to rise again. The battle did not begin with noise. It began with silence. A deep, heavy silence that pressed against every wall of the ship. The human stood in the medical chamber, surrounded by soft white light. Machines hovered around him, scanning his body, repairing bone and flesh. His armor was gone now, replaced by a simple suit. The queen watched from behind a glass wall, her face calm, but her hands clenched tightly. He should be dead, one of the medical officers whispered. No species survives this level of damage. The human's heart slowed, then steadied, then grew stronger. Because he refused to die, the queen replied quietly. As the healing systems worked, memories continued to rise, not gently, but like waves crashing against stone. He remembered training grounds on Earth, cold mornings, heavy weapons, voices shouting orders. He remembered laughter between battles, and silence after. His body healed faster than expected. Scars faded but did not disappear. They stayed, like reminders of promises kept. When the chamber finally opened, he stepped out on his own. Unsteady but standing, the queen met him face to face. "You should rest," she said. He shook his head slowly. "I have rested long enough." Outside the chamber, the ship trembled. Enemy fleets were closing in, weapons charging, shields tightening. The queen gestured. A new set of armor rose from the floor, dark and marked with unfamiliar symbols. "This was built using human designs," she said, "from memories we could never erase." The human reached out and touched the armor. The surface responded to his hand, as if it recognized him. Once the armor sealed around his body, something changed. His posture straightened, his eyes sharpened. The guards stepped back without thinking. They felt it too. A soldier had returned. On the command deck, screens showed enemy ships forming attack lines. Their numbers were overwhelming, their confidence absolute. "They believe you are still broken," the queen said. "They believe humanity is a story that already ended." The human looked at the stars beyond the glass. "Stories only end when someone stops fighting," he replied. Suddenly, a blast rocked the ship. Enemy fire struck the shields. Warning lights flared across the deck. The queen did not move. Neither did the human. "Send the signal again," he said. "Louder." The queen nodded. "Transmit on all hidden channels." Across space, old receivers activated. Human voices answered. Hesitant, afraid, hopeful. "Is this real? Are we called back?" The human stepped forward, his voice steady, carrying through the signal. "You were never gone. You were waiting." The response was instant. Human ships powered up, engines roaring to life after years of silence. The enemy fleet reacted too late. They did not expect resistance. They did not expect humans. Enemy weapons fired again, stronger this time. The ship shook violently. A section of the hull ruptured. The human was thrown to the floor. Pain flared through his body. But he pushed himself up, blood on his lip. "You should stay back," a guard shouted. The human activated his armor systems. "No," he said. "This time I lead." He moved toward the command deck, each step heavy but determined. The queen followed, her presence steadying the room. Enemy boarding ships were detected, closing fast. "They want you alive again," the queen said. "Let them try," the human replied. The first enemy soldiers broke through the hull, weapons raised, confident. They froze when they saw him, a human standing armored, unafraid. He did not rush them. He walked forward slowly, every step a challenge. When the fighting began, it was fast and brutal. The human moved with instinct and memory, every motion precise, every strike final. The enemy fell back in shock. This was not a broken prisoner. This was a soldier who had survived extinction. As the last enemy fell, the human stood alone in the smoke, breathing hard, alive. The queen watched him from the deck. The soldier who refused to die had returned, and the galaxy was about to learn that humans do not stay buried. The silence after the first battle was heavier than any roar of war. The ship creaked and groaned, but it held. The human soldier stood on the command deck, his armor glowing faintly in the soft light. Around him, the queen watched, calm but alert. Through the massive viewport, the stars stretched endlessly, but the emptiness was deceptive. Hidden among the stars were fleets that no one in the galaxy had seen in decades. The human raised his hand. A signal echoed through the network the queen had prepared. Hidden colonies, secret ships, long-lost human stations. They answered, engines lighting, weapons ready, flags raised in defiance. The galaxy had believed humans extinct, but the human species was not gone. Not yet. Ships emerged from asteroid belts, from dead moons, from cloaked passages in the void. Human pilots who had survived secret wars, silent and patient, now returned, eyes wide with disbelief and hope as they saw one of their own alive. The soldier who had carried them in memory, the one who refused to die. The queen's voice filled the command deck, calm but commanding. "They thought we were finished," she said. "They thought we were dust. But we are still here." and we fight together." The human's heart pounded as he watched fleets align. Every ship, every pilot, a spark of humanity that could not be extinguished. He raised a hand toward the stars, and the fleet followed instinctively, a wave of silent determination, ready to challenge the galaxy itself. Enemy scouts appeared first, small ships moving too fast to see clearly. They thought they would strike fear into the humans. They were wrong. The first human ships fired, coordinated and precise. Blasts of energy tore through enemy hulls. Shields faltered, and confusion spread. The human moved among his people, not as a commander, not as a soldier, but as a symbol, every motion radiating confidence, courage, and the unbroken will of humanity. The queen observed quietly. She had ruled for years, but she had never seen anything like this. The humans were rising not because she commanded them, but because one human refused to die, because one human remembered. Enemy fleets regrouped, larger and more menacing than before. They had underestimated what a human soldier could inspire. The first wave fell quickly, the second hesitated. By the third wave, the hesitation became fear. The human led boarding parties, striking with precision and strategy that came from survival. Every enemy ship they boarded was a battle. Every ship they freed from control was a victory. Amid the chaos, the queen stood at the command console. She sent signals, orders, and coordinates. Every hidden human station responded. Every fleet answered. The galaxy was learning the truth too late. The enemy's confidence broke when they realized something terrifying. The humans were not just survivors. They were organized, ready, and more relentless than anyone remembered. The human raised his voice, shouting across the comms. "Today we return," he said, "not as prey, not as shadows, but as humans, and no one will ever erase us again." Across the galaxy, planets held their breath. The stories of humanity's fall had been whispered for decades. Now they saw it live. Ships blazing through space, engines bright, weapons ready, humans returning to the stars, unbroken, alive, and defiant. Enemy leaders panicked, sending strike forces in waves. But with every wave, the humans adapted. Every move was calculated, every counter instinctive. They fought with courage that had been honed over centuries. And every time a human fell, 10 more rose to take their place. The human soldier fought tirelessly. He moved with the strength of those who had survived death. He led boarding missions, rescued trapped pilots, and destroyed key enemy vessels. And with every action, hope spread among his people. The galaxy was remembering the humans it had once tried to destroy. The queen spoke beside him, her voice calm but urgent. "Do not stop," she said. "Every victory counts. Every life saved is a statement." The human nodded, understanding the weight of her words. He had returned not only for himself, not only for revenge, but for every human who had survived in hiding, for every human who still dreamed of freedom. The enemy fleets faltered as they realized they had miscalculated. Humanity was back, and this time they would not retreat. They would not surrender. They would not die quietly. The human turned to the queen, determination burning in his eyes. "We will reclaim the stars," he said. "We will make them remember." And in that moment, the hidden human fleets surged forward. Lights blazing, engines roaring, weapons primed. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity returned to the stars. Unyielding, unstoppable, and alive. The battle had ended, but the galaxy did not breathe yet. Stars were scarred with fire, smoke drifting through vacuum. Ships that had once hidden in shadows now floated openly. Human flags blazing boldly where silence had ruled for decades. The human soldier stood on the bridge of the Queen's flagship, his armor scorched and scratched, his body aching. Every movement reminded him of wounds that had healed too quickly, of pain endured, of memories regained and lost again. The Queen approached, her presence calm but heavy with meaning. She stopped beside him, her gaze fixed on the stars. Behind them, the galaxy seemed to pause, listening, waiting for the final act, the truth of what humanity had become. "Do you remember me, soldier?" she asked, her voice softer now than it had ever been. The question hung in the air, not as a challenge, but as a key turning in a lock. The human hesitated. He remembered fire, blood, smoke. He remembered the battlefield where he had carried a fragile life. He remembered the prison where they had tried to erase him. And he remembered the long years of silence, pain, and exile. "I remember," he said slowly, "not your name, not the crown, not the worlds you rule, but I remember your face, and I remember the choice I made. I saved you because someone had to." The queen's eyes softened, and for the first time she allowed herself a small smile. Then she reached out, placing her hand over his, a gesture of trust, of respect, of a bond that had survived centuries. "You carried more than me that day," she said. "You carried hope, humanity, the future of everything we would become. And that is why the galaxy stands again. Because one human refused to walk away. Because one soldier survived when all thought you could not." The human looked at her, emotions too complex for words. Anger, relief, love, grief, determination. They swirled together, leaving him both exhausted and alive. Outside the bridge, human fleets moved with purpose. Every ship a story, every pilot a survivor. The galaxy would remember them now, and they would remember the soldier who refused to die. A quiet alert sounded on the bridge. Enemy remnants had not surrendered. Some fleets had hidden in distant systems, waiting, watching, planning retaliation. "We have more to do," the human said. The queen nodded. "Yes," she said, "and this time we fight together, not as ruler and subject, but as equals, as partners, as beings who once saved each other." The human walked to the viewport. Stars stretched into infinity, each one a reminder of worlds lost and worlds waiting. A memory rose unbidden, the battlefield where he had first carried her in his arms, the fire, the screaming, the choice, and for the first time in decades, he understood the meaning of it all. "You remember," she whispered, leaning close,